Well, Jacques from Munro Realty, our in-house realtor. And yes, I know his last name is spelled like my last name, Munro, and it is Munro Realty. He's got over 30 years experience in the Valley. He is my realtor, and I'm very impressed with his work. And he also has a lot of good advice. So he's got some stuff he wants to share with us. Go for it, Jacques.
A lot of this stuff, I mean, as fluffy as it is, it's still important. And, you're looking at properties. Mm-hmm. And so, sunscreen is a good advice.
Yes,
Right.
Dress lightly.
Yeah,
right?
linen clothing always.
Linen clothing, light colored clothing, ice water to drink. And most importantly, make sure that your agent has excellent AC in his or her car.
Oh, my God. You're so hilarious.
Very, very important. And we can go on to buyer tips afterwards, but just quickly touching upon the seller because, this is contrary to prevailing wisdom, but the summertime is a very hot market in the Valley. No
really?
pun
I would
intended.
think just the opposite. We debate this all the time, but we don't really debate it.
You would think that. But what I think is happening and what many also think is that people are trying to organize themselves for the school year. So they want, and then also they have a little bit more time. In the summer times, maybe the mother has a little bit more time.
Or the father.
Dad, or the father. Or, of course. And so people, are looking for, homes during the summer.
Right.
And statistically, this theory and this belief is actually justified and well supported. So, you have a spike in June, and then it starts to taper off a little bit in August. So that's absolutely right. And
everyone's like gone. Like people are actually really looking for homes.
And so this is basically it for the seller. If you're receiving somebody to view your home, this is not somebody looking to go on a sightseeing tour. Right. This is somebody very interested in buying a house. So you're not going to have a lot of neighbors, nosing around.
Right.
These are people that are interested in buying. And so for that reason, I have some tips for the seller too. Don't be penny wise and dollar foolish. So in other words, no nonsense about setting your thermostat to 80 degrees, 82 degrees. No way. You set it down, and again, you would think that this is contrary to the philosophy of the Smart Shopper Show.
Right, but not when you're trying to sell your house. You want to make it comfortable.
The exact opposite of it, because you're going to save $100 for that month on your AC bill, but you'll lose $5,000 or $10,000.
Right on
So it doesn't
sale.
make any sense. And so what you want to do is you want to make your house a refuge, from the heat. So people that are looking at properties at 150 to 120 degrees, you want them to relax in your house, look around, and say, wow, I didn't notice this, I didn't notice that, and then suddenly...
And not be uncomfortable and sweating.
Absolutely.
That's a good
And before
tip.
you know it, you have an offer.
Okay, give me one more tip, and then we'll move on to zero down mortgages.
Yeah, okay. Well, I would just say, make your house a refuge. If you want to offset the thing, and again, kind of to nod my hat to the Smart Shopper Show, there are some good tips that the seller can mitigate the expenses of putting a lower, temperature in their house. Number one, they could use lighter color curtains that reflect the sunlight. If there's any damage, weather stripping, or to install door sweeps, those are very inexpensive ways that you can, again, mitigate the cost. Mm-hmm. So that's okay. We can go to loans if you're ready.
Right. No. I'm like, I'm listening to what you're saying. Like, good stuff.
All right.
Oh my God. I hope.
Yeah. There's plenty more. But anyway, let's go to financing. And
what we'll do is we'll do a little Facebook Live next week, and we can talk a little bit more about some of those tips that you have.
Sure. No, absolutely.
We're running a little bit over today,
I know we
so
are.
I don't want to cut you off.
No worries.
Okay. Boy, I'm telling you, some good stuff. But this is a good one. I want to talk about the zero down mortgage. I want to get to that.
Well,
and then we're going to get to the Food City really quick. So
we're not going into too much or too in depth.
Right.
I spoke, with our preferred lender, and I was just asking him a little bit for content.
Right.
And so, I see this from time to time, but it's amazing how many people just don't know about it. And there are loan programs out there as grant money through the county and through the state, where essentially they're giving you a down payment. And so for a very long time, you would hear, there's no such thing as a zero loan. Zero down loan.
So that's what he's talking about. Zero down payment.
Zero down loan.
Mortgage.
So in other words, the government is giving you money essentially to buy a house.
Okay, so that sounds like a great thing, but nobody ever gives you money without a price. So what is the catch here?
Extremely smart, Daphne, and that's exactly right. So the interest rates are about 3/4 points higher, but there are some myths over that most people also think. You have to have sterling credit. That's not true.
Okay.
640 FICO score is sufficient.
Really?
Yeah. So
or
I mean,
zero down mortgage, forgivable. Like you don't have to do anything, but you're just going to pay 3/4 higher than your.
That's exactly right. And you
rate.
can do an FHA. There are FHA programs. There are conventional financing programs. Another thing too is you're looking at dollar amounts. 300,000. Purchase price. So it's not only very modest homes. You're looking at median priced homes that you can buy. Another thing too is there are some limitations. In other words, you can't make too much money, but it's kind of around $80,000, $90,000, the maximum household income. But all of these figures, if your audience or anybody wanted to call me, I would put them in touch with our lender.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. My next question is, so how can people find out more information about this? Just get a hold
call
of
me, my cell, 602-295-1987, or jhmunro@munrorealty.com.
Right, or you can just go
text me at the cell number, and I'll put you in touch. But our preferred lender happens to be Mark David of Loan Depot.
Okay.
And he's an expert in that. And one last thing before we get off the loans. He has a pretty cool product, too, for doctors and dentists, where they don't calculate the student loan. So in other words, where these guys...
So if they have loans,
and then
it's not
also work history.
Okay.
So essentially, these guys can get into a $400,000 house where otherwise a lot of them couldn't because of all of that student debt.
Right. Okay, good tips, some good stuff. So we got some tips on selling our home, keep the AC down. We got some tips on buying a home. We also got some tips on the zero down mortgages.